How's it going, everyone? David here with Delicado Media for another episode of Do You Even Watch Those? The show where I go through my physical media collection to prove that I actually watch everything I buy. Today, we're going to be talking about the Universal Blu-ray of Chef. So, this is actually my favorite movie of all time, and I'm excited to talk about it, talk about the film, talk about the way that it looks, the special features that come with it, and the overall presentation. I picked this one up on Groove with the same sale that I picked up Charade last video. So if you guys are interested in checking this out, I would say wait for one of those sales, but I'll link this one in the description so you guys can go check it out if you're interested in picking this one up for yourself. So yeah, Chef. Chef essentially follows Carl Casper, who's this notable chef, and he's made it big, and he has this restaurant that he's working in, but he's in a bit of a creative rut with the food that he's cooking. And when a critic comes to review his restaurant and gives a negative review based upon Carl not being able to cook the menu that he wants to cook because of Dustin Hoffman, who's the restaurant manager, pushing him to cook kind of like his classics. He kind of loses it, and in a fit of rage, he calls out this critic and he basically ousts himself from the restaurant business. So, in the aftermath of that, he goes and starts a food truck and travels across country with his son and his friend John Leguizamo, and it's just a really great, fun, heartwarming story, I guess, and I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. The film is directed by Jon Favreau, who directed the first Iron Man and the second Iron Man, and who plays Happy Hogan in all the MCU movies with Iron Man. And so this movie has kind of a bit of, I would say, baggage with it, not in a negative sense, but the way that I understand the making of this movie was that Jon Favreau kind of wanted to get back to his roots, which was in indie filmmaking. And so there was kind of this point in time in between Iron Man and Iron Man 2 where he was really being pushed and forced to make Iron Man 2. And so some have read this movie to be some sort of biographical look at his experience working on Iron Man 2 and the way that the Marvel machine can be a little bit draining sometimes. And it's kind of interesting because, now I feel everybody talks about how Marvel is this big corporation that doesn't allow any creative freedom or vision. And it's interesting to think about how this film kind of says that, but way early on in the MCU. If you guys recall, I think Iron Man 2 was probably like one of the fifth or sixth movie in the franchise as a whole. And so very early on, we were already starting to see how they could wear themselves thin. And this film, whether or not it's a somewhat biographical retelling of his experience working on Iron Man 2, is a great movie in its own right. And to be honest, this movie is kind of like if you had this story taking place in the MCU, because it has all the MCU people in it. It's got Jon Favreau, it's got Robert Downey Jr., it's got Scarlett Johansson, and it's actually one of the funny things that I noticed was that it's actually the casting director on this movie is actually the same one that does all the Marvel movies. So that probably helped a little bit. But this movie is really my favorite because it captures a feeling in the best way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but essentially, what I really like about this is how it gives you a very simplistic story, but it puts a lot of, some would consider it cheesy, but I really consider it to be fun, playful, and just like I said, heartwarming moments in it. And it's a kind of like a sports movie, and I really like movies where the main character is kind of had like a fall from grace, and he's like making, he or she is making his way back up into the upper ranks of where they once were. And this film is about not necessarily getting back to who you were beforehand, but really truly breaking out of the mold and doing what you love and putting everything of yourself into that. And so this movie is just, the script is great. The way that the performances are played out, it's awesome. The chemistry between everyone, you could tell that they were having a lot of fun just going off of one another. The food is incredible. It looks great. I could smell it off the screen, and the way that they shoot those scenes where he's cooking is just so cool. And I just, I don't know where else to go with this. It's just, I really love this movie. I know it's generally warmly received, but I'm not sure that anyone loves it to the lengths that I love it. I just think that this is such a great time. And if you haven't watched it, please go check it out. It's my wholehearted recommendation, and I just really love it. And so picking this up on the Blu-ray, it was like a must-have once I got into physical media collecting. And so, like I said, I picked this one up for I believe like $5 or $6 on the like 3 for $18 or 3 for $15, something like that deal that they had on Groove. So I would say if you're looking to pick this one up, probably wait for one of those sales or go ahead and buy it used on eBay or something like that. I don't think there'll be too many like fakes of this movie. So yeah, this is a pretty simple standard Universal Blu-ray. There's what the front looks like, here's what the back looks like, and there is no reversible cover art. It's just a white little paper right here, and the disc, that's what it looks like right here. And there's not really too much, and as can be expected with a lot of these um, studio Blu-ray and 4K releases, there's not a lot of special features. That's mainly what the boutique labels focus on, even though when I looked at Gambit, it didn't really have much with it. But this film comes with, or this disc comes with deleted scenes, a commentary with Jon Favreau and co-producer Roy Choi, who was actually the kind of guy that taught Jon Favreau how to cook on this movie. And so it's really cool to see that how they're involved. And they even have a show on Netflix called The Chef Show, I believe, where they cook with different celebrities and they cook different things. And I think it's pretty cool how like they were able to kind of franchise this film in a way that isn't like they need Chef 2 or something like that. Like this is a very contained story, and yes, sometimes it's kind of cheesy and it gives us an ending that realistically might never happen, but just because it happens in the movie, I can buy it, and I have a great time seeing every time how the movie plays out and how it ends, and it just fills me with a lot of joy. So yeah, I would say just because this is a modern-ish movie, I believe it was released in 2014. This Blu-ray disc was in 2014, I believe, and so it's a newer movie, and there's not really anything much to say about the visual quality. It was good. There were some moments where it looked a little bit blurry or it looked not as detailed, but I mean, it's what can be expected with a modern movie like this, I think. And audio, no complaints. It was great across the board. I don't think, especially because there's a lot of cooking noises in this one. I thought the mix in those aspects was great. But overall, when they're like talking back and forth, there's nothing really like mind blowing about the audio here. And so I would say a great release of the film. Hopefully, one day this gets like a 4K treatment or like a big box set. I would love that. I would pick it up on the spot. But overall, I think this is a great release, pretty solid. And if you're looking for the movie and you've never seen this movie, I would really, really recommend. Please go pick it up. Please watch it. And yeah, that's pretty much it, Chef. Next week, we'll be talking about the Shout Factory release of Escape from New York. So this one is one that I've had in my collection for quite a while. So I'm excited to talk about this one, and that'll be for the next video. Remember, the blog and podcast are linked down below. If you please go check those out. I probably have some new episodes up right now. At the time of recording this, I got 3 episodes on the podcast just reviewing movies. My plan is to go watch a couple of movies in the theater that I haven't got to yet this weekend. And so next week will probably be an embarrassment of riches of different things that I have seen and we'll talk about on the podcast. So go check that out. The blog hasn't really been updated, but I'm working on it. Just some news in the world of action figure collecting and physical media. So go ahead and check those out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. I will catch you next time.